Hello and welcome to Glasgow Rangers Nation with me, your host, Owen James, channel that brings you your team every single day. Well, look, Rangers have, I think the word is stumbled into the international break. Yes, we're in yet another boring international break, and maybe it's come at the right time for Rangers. Maybe it's come at a time so the club can take stock of where we currently are and how we're currently performing and how bad things currently are, as we sit some 9 points behind Aberdeen and 9 points behind Celtic. And I honestly believe that the chances of us finishing third this season are, very realistic. Given the fact that even though Aberdeen had that horrific mauling from Celtic in the semi-final, they've sort of come back strongly from that and have performed exceptionally well in that game that they've won against Dundee at the weekend. Where are we up to? Where are we at? I mean, there's story, there's counter story, there's rumor, there's counter rumor. There's a lot going around at this moment in time as regards players, as regards January, as regards what's going on with the club, etc., etc. Now, we've got some news on some alleged stories about James Tavernier and his future at the club. We've also got some stories about Philippe Clement and his alleged future at the club. And people talk about Derek Mckinness has been the next Rangers manager, despite obviously a lot of fans not wanting Mckinness after he rejected us the first time. We'll look at that shortly. But there's a little interesting stat that I saw the other day. This was on X, actually. Really interesting stat, this is. Now, Michael Beal is widely regarded as being a fairly awful manager, someone who, spectacularly failed at Rangers, didn't he? He really did, absolutely just... excuse me, surrender and just, I don't know, he was just useless. His style was non-existent. The caliber of football he played was boring and turgid and just didn't seem to have any direction at all. And I don't know, kind of reminds you of a certain Belgian to some degree. But I mean, this was a stat I saw the other day. This is the comparison of the records of Philippe Clement and Michael Beal. This is Michael Beal's record on top there. Michael Beal had 30 games in charge of Rangers. He won 23 of them. He drew 2. He lost 5. We scored 70 in that time. We conceded 28 goals in his time as manager. With Philippe Clement, we've had 42 games. We've won 30. We've drawn 5. We've lost 7. We've scored 90 and we've conceded 35. So both managers averaging just over 2 goals a game. Defensively, very, very much alike in terms of their defensive records. In terms of win percentage, however, a slight difference there. Michael Beal's win percentage was 76%. Philippe Clement's win percentage is around 71% at current time. That's domestically in the league, that is. That's just league fixtures. So, I mean, it's not the best of records, is it? I mean, Philippe Clement's domestic record is not great, is it? The number of games we've lost, a lot of those games have been to Celtic. We've lost to Celtic, which obviously is, very, very much, as we all know, any Rangers manager who fails to beat Celtic on a consistent basis doesn't tend to last too long in his job, does he? He tends to, fail and kind of be got rid of very, very soon. Now, I mean, I'll be honest with you. I wholly backed Philippe Clement at the start of the season. I backed him in the rebuild. I backed him last season. It's only recently that I've kind of come to the conclusion that, this manager is taking us absolutely nowhere. And what do I base that on? I mean, I think a lot of people say, well, what do you base that on? I mean, is that just a knee-jerk reaction? Is that just a knee-jerk reaction to recent results? Well, what is that down to? Well, the way I look at it is this, I look at it as a football coach for a minute, and I've got coaching certificates. I know how to coach. Yes, obviously, certainly nothing on the same level as Philippe Clement, but you look at a team and you look at an identity, and you look at a shape, and you look at a style, and you look at a formation, you look at the way of playing, and you even with coaches who coach teams that are not great, that have players who are not fantastic but can do a job, you kind of start to see a bit of an identity there, a way of playing, a shape to their way they play, a style to the way they play, an organization, that team. And I must admit, as a coach, sitting watching, not as a Rangers fan, but as a coach for a minute, I don't see a style. I don't see an organisation. I don't see a shape. I don't really see anything resembling an effective set of tactics. I mean, I'll be honest with you. The players that Rangers have are not, on the whole, dreadful players. They are not. Yes, there are some dreadful players within this team, and some players that are not fit to wear the shirt, and I get that. But there are some very talented footballers in this team. Some very able footballers in this team. I mean, you look at the likes, obviously, of Nadim Barami. You look at the likes of Conor Barron, Nicholas Raskin, Vaslav Chini, Dujon Sterling, Noresheyo Casanwejo. There are some talented footballers, and you've got enough there with average footballers to kind of organise a team and get them playing in a certain way and being hard to beat, being effective, playing a decent brand of football, an effective brand of football, if not the most glamorous brand of football. But you don't see that from Rangers. You don't see a style, an organisation. You don't see a shape. You don't see any sort of effectiveness in the way we play. We just kind of struggle. And we rely on, too much as a team. I believe we rely on individuals doing something amazing or producing a moment of excellence to kind of win us a game or to hold on in a game. We don't kind of go out there, control a game and do, what we should be doing as Rangers. And I think, you look at Rangers domestically and you look at the comparison between us and say Dundee United and Aberdeen, even between us and Celtic. Perhaps less so Celtic, obviously, because they've got a good side. But the teams in and around us, and there is no doubt in my mind that these are games that we should be absolutely dominating. We should be absolutely smashing them. Smashing those teams. Now, you hear the argument, don't you, all the time in Europe, when Rangers come up against the likes of Manchester United or Tottenham or any of the English clubs or any of the clubs from the top 5 leagues, basically. And you kind of look at it and you kind of go, well, realistically, it's unfair, isn't it? It's an unfair comparison. When Liverpool came to Ibrox and smashed Rangers, there was a lot of, but look at who they've got. They've got Bobby Firmino, they've got Mo Salah, they've got Jordan Henderson, they've got Alisson Becker, they've got Virgil van Dijk, they've got some exceptionally talented footballers. And, the same sort of things kind of will come out, I think, when we come to play Manchester United, we come to play Tottenham, we'll look at it in terms of, well, look at Manchester United, they've got Bruno Fernandes, Marcus Rashford, Rasmus Højlund, Manuel Ugarte, Mazraoui, De Ligt, and so on and so forth. But, that same argument can be applied to Scotland. I mean, you look at Aberdeen and, I don't particularly want to argue over squad values today, but, Aberdeen's squad is worth 15.08 million, according to Transfer Market. 15 million, right? That's all, just 15 million. And their best player departed in the summer. Bojan Miovski headed off to play for Girona, and obviously without their main striker. I mean, so just remember that for a minute. That's their market. That's their market value. The market value of their players is around that £15 million mark. Rangers squad value, and like I said, I don't particularly want to get into arguing over player values at this point in time. We know it's all subjective to some degree, but Rangers player values are 80.75 million. 80.75 million. Okay, Aberdeen are not even half the value, not even a quarter of the value of Rangers squad, yet are at the moment light years ahead. So realistically, domestically, there is no reason why we should be struggling. That absolutely no reason whatsoever, other than the manager's tactics, the manager's way of playing, the manager's way of organising his team. Now, like I said, we are going to talk about James Tavernier. That story is upcoming, so please hang on for that. Now, a lot of people have kind of surmised that, that Rangers could do with a manager who would come in and organise them, make them effective, make them difficult to beat. Currently, we are in a situation where we cannot splash money. We cannot spend vast sums of money on footballers because we haven't got vast sums of money to spend on footballers. I mean, you look at the situation as it presents itself at this moment in time, and we're 17 million in debt. January transfer window upcoming. There's a strong likelihood that Rangers will not spend big. It will not spend big, or will not spend at all in January. That any new players coming in will be on loans with obligations to buy, or loans with options to buy, or just loans. or possibly free agents, if there is any, out there at this moment in time that Rangers are remotely interested in. That will be where they go because of that money. Now, Derek Mckinness is a manager who's used to working with not a massive budget. I mean, yes, he has some very talented players at Kilmarnock, don't get me wrong, in Davy Watson, Danny Armstrong, for example. Now, I know that Derek, and look, I'm not making a let's get Derek Mckinness the manager's job video. This is not what it's about. Okay, I'm not sitting here saying that he is the ideal candidate. Okay, I'm not sitting here saying this for a minute. But what I'm saying is that a manager like Derek Mckinness, who understands the Scottish game, who understands how to organise a team, understands how to make a team effective in this league, understands how to beat Celtic to some degree, which he has done with Kilmarnock. I mean, which is very impressive considering that, Philippe Clement with a squad far in excess of the value of Kilmarnock has not managed to beat Celtic once, whereas Derek Mckinness has. I mean, I'll be honest with you. Like I said, I'm not sitting here and I'm not making this video. It's not a pro Derek Mckinness video. It's not a let's make Derek Mckinness the manager video. It's just mainly pointing out some managerial types and managerial things that we do need. Now, there has been stories in the media in Scotland and England that Derek Mckinness has been lined up as a possible successor for Philippe Clement should he be sacked. I mean, the likelihood that Philippe Clement goes before the season ends, to me, is exceptionally unlikely. I don't think it's going to happen. I think we'll have to limp through to the end of the season with him. I think we'll finish third. We won't win a trophy, and then he will be sacked. Now, Mckinness for me, and like the Mckinness type of manager who, like I said, is used to not working with big budgets, knows how to organise, is tactically astute, knows how to get a shape, a style, a way of playing. Would be very useful for Rangers. And it certainly, ticks all the boxes of all the things we're currently missing. Very much so. You look at that, there's no style, there's no substance, there's no formation, there's no shape, there's tactics are poor, substitutions are poor, all those things that Clement does that are just absolutely useless. Whereas, Mckinness to some degree shows the effectiveness of taking a team that it hasn't got the same value as others and getting it to compete. Like I said, there are rumours and stories saying that he's the next manager for Rangers and he would be a perfect candidate for Rangers and he's proved that he can do it in the SPL, etc., etc. And I know that he's someone who divides fan opinion. I know there's a lot of fans that don't want him, wouldn't touch him with a barge pole. Yet there's other fans that would quite gladly take him. I get that. It is Rangers, isn't it? After all, we are a club that does seem to have a very divided fan base on a lot of issues. But what I'm kind of saying to you is we could do with a Mckinness style manager. And whether that's Mckinness or someone else, someone who can organise a team, can get a team to play to a certain shape and get the best out of players that he's currently got. And now, some of it also comes down to playing players in their wrong positions, not playing players in the right positions, playing players who are badly out of form, playing players like Cyril Dessers and James Tavernier who don't deserve to be in the first team, stuff like that Clement really is not helping himself at all with. So, look, I guess, like I'm trying to say, is we need someone who's going to be more effective at doing all those things that we need a manager or head coach to do: organize, get a shape, get a style, get a formation, just basically sort it out. Now, the other story that's been going around is that Rangers are planning to get rid of James Tavernier, but unfortunately, this won't be until the end of the season, and kind of explains to a little degree why he's been playing at times. There's been 3 right backs on the field. Now, Rangers lack quality depth. They lack any depth really in certain positions, and because of that, players that have been asked to play our position, players have been asked to play, not in their natural positions, and players that perhaps ideally you wouldn't want to use or you don't want to see play would not normally play, but because of the fact we don't have a big enough squad, we don't have enough players, key players for key positions, these certain players like Dessers, like Tavernier continue to play. Now, the story going round is that James Tavernier, move away from Rangers, is very much being lined up by the club. However, this move will not take place until the end of the season. One reason being the testimonial that James Tavernier is allegedly going to get at the end of the season. I've got to say that if James Tavernier does have a testimonial at the end of the season, this channel will not cover it, mention it, or live stream it in any way, shape, or form. Also, the other reason being that, like I said, the squad lacked strength, and it's very much felt that come January, there won't be any vast sums of money to go and get any players. Now, people talk about, well, let's go and get a free transfer. Well, even free transfers have on costs. You know, there's signing on fees, there's wages, agent fees, etc., etc. So that, you know, even those supposed free transfers cost money. And at this moment in time, it really is felt that Rangers don't have any real money to be able to spend on players, given the debt, given the way the club is currently going. So, you know, it looks very much like, according to the reports that I've read, that James Tavernier will stay until the season's end. He will be used until the season's end, and then at the season's end, that's when he will be got rid of, and that's when he will leave the club. Well, guys, let me know what you think of the stories we've covered in this morning's video. Keep your eyes out peeled for other videos releasing today. Thank you very much for watching Glasgow Rangers Nation, guys. As always, please smash the sub, please smash the like, do all that great stuff, share, comment, all that brilliant stuff. And remember always, we are the people.